Welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation verse by verse to see what it is we can expect to happen, but more importantly, what it is we should be doing in the end times. And as we've gone through this book, we've reached the critical place, the place that really the whole Bible was written about and everything that all of humanity has been waiting for, which is the return of the King. This is the second coming of Jesus Christ, and we've hit that place. And as he returns, there's lots of prophecies that talk about what that looks like, but it's very important that we look at the detail of what he specifically looks like, because everything that we see, every word that we see as his return, as his description, represents what it is we will experience. And it's very important we understand it, because our experience is going to be very different depending on how you behaved on this earth. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off. Revelation 19, starting verse 11. Then I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he who sat on him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself. So for clarity, he comes in righteousness to judge and make war. Well, what does that look like? We spent a lot of time, a few episodes, talking about what this war really looks like. But these eyes of flames are what we're going to focus on today, because these eyes of flames literally judge and make war. And to fully understand what's going on with these eyes of flames, the Bible makes it very clear. And those eyes of flames will specifically address how we spend eternity. So we're just going to kind of dig through the Word. I recommend you definitely take some notes and dig through your Word with us, because it's very critical we understand what's taking place. Well, first let's start by saying, who is this? Like, how do we know this is the same Jesus that we've been talking about? Well, let's go all the way back to Revelation 1 verse 12. Then I turned to see the voice that spoke with me, and having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to his feet, and girded about the chest with a golden band. His head and his hair were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes like a flame of fire. Now both there and in Revelation 19, when it talks about a flame of fire, the words that he's using is phlox pyros, which is a blaze of fire, a blaze of flame. And it's the same description we use. We also saw that in Revelation 2, starting verse 18. And to the angel of the church in Thyatira write, these things says the Son of God, who has eyes like a flame of fire and his feet like fine brass. I know your works. This has something to do with your works. It's a refinement. It's a purification process is what he's looking at. And we know that to be so, because if we go to Psalm 97, it gets in a lot of detail on what we're looking at here. Verse 1, the Lord reigns, let the earth rejoice. Let the multitude of isles be glad. Clouds and darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. A fire goes before him and burns up his enemies round about. His lightnings light the world. The earth sees and trembles. The mountains melt like wax at the presence of the Lord. At the presence of the Lord of the whole earth, the heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. So it's dark, and the heavens open up, and then we see Jesus return, but his eyes are like flames, and it goes before him, not just to destroy our enemies. It's not just to destroy our enemies. Although that is a critical piece, and Isaiah talked about this, Amos talked about this. We'll go to Isaiah first. Isaiah 47:14. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. It shall not be a coal to be warmed by, nor a fire to sit before. Thus shall they be to you with whom you have labored, your merchants from your youth. They shall wander each one to his quarter. No one shall save you. This is literally him judging and making war. He is judging and making war, literally. And it is the flame that goes before him through his eyes that is doing all these things. It is conquering nations. It is destroying humanity. It is causing those who go up against him to, it's a judgment. It's a righteous judgment. And it's very important you don't see it as just he judges and make war. In righteousness, he judges and he makes war. And this flame that will go before him will turn them all into stubble. Amos 5:6 tells us, seek the Lord and live, lest he break out like fire in the house of Joseph and devour it, with no one to quench it in Bethel. This is his process of judging and making war. There's a purification process that involves a purifying flame. So as you get consumed by this flame, and all of us will be consumed by this flame, it will either burn you up like stubble, depending on your works. Because remember, he says, I know your works. You'll either burn up like stubble or it'll be purified like gold and silver. Because if we look at Isaiah 66, starting verse 15, for behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger and fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword the Lord will judge all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Those who sanctify themselves and purify themselves to go to the gardens after an idol in the midst, eating swine's flesh and the abomination of the mouse, shall be consumed together, says the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall be that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. It'll consume many. It'll slay many. It'll slay many. So how do you not get slayed by this judgment fire? How do you not get slayed by this fire? Well, it's quite simple. If you look at 1 Corinthians 3, starting in verse 12. Now, if anyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become manifest. For the day will declare it, because it will be revealed by fire. And the fire will test each one's work of what sort it is. If anyone's work which he has built on it endures, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? It's a purification fire. It's saying, I know your works, I know your thoughts. All those times you snuck off and you did these abominations or you did these sinful things thinking, well, nobody knows, nobody sees. All that will burn up. All of it will burn up. And to some degree, this fire, it will slay many. It'll slay many. It is the judgment fire. If your works have been selfish works your whole life, it burns up like sticks and stubble and straw. But if your works were about your Father's business, it is purified into gold and silver. And everybody will suffer loss. Everybody will suffer loss. Because we all fall short. But it also says that we will be saved. It's just, what do you bring into heaven with you? Many will be slayed. There won't be anything left. It'll just all burn up into ash. All of it burns up into ash. But you know, the thing about this is the piece that to really see it. To really see it, because when you look at the flux pyros, the blazing flame, that pyros word, the pyros was a word they used for heat of the sun. And when you look at Malachi 4:1, for behold, the day is coming, burning like an oven, and all the proud, yes, all who do wickedly, will be stubble. And the day which is coming shall burn them up, says the Lord of hosts, that will leave them neither root nor branch. But to you who fear my name, the Son, S-U-N, of righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go out and grow fat like stall-fed calves. You shall trample the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet on the day that I do this, says the Lord of hosts. To some degrees, I believe this purification process will be good for the world, for sure. It'll purify the world of all corruption and evil in one moment. But it'll purify us as well. All that brokenness and death and dying and sin that we carry just turns to ash, and we're purified into gold and silver and precious stones, and then we just walk on the ashes that remain. And grow fat like stall-fed calves, I guess. It's a horrifying thing, but it's also a beautiful thing depending on what it is you're doing with your works. The body is the temple and the Spirit dwells within, is what we just read. And if the Spirit dwells within, you're going to be about your Father's business. You're going to be of the saints. So if we go back and we read what we just read in Revelation 19:11, and I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he who sat on was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his heads were many crowns. It's very important. Every aspect of what we see Jesus looking like is important. The flames of fire is really probably one of the most important things to us personally and how we spend eternity. Outside of being written in the Lamb's Book of Life, it's the most important. Because if the Spirit dwells within, if your name is written in the Lamb Book of Life and the Spirit dwells within, then you're going to be about your Father's business. So if you're written in that book, there should be something left over. If there's nothing left over, there's nothing for you to carry into heaven. And that's why in Matthew 25, Jesus says, I don't know you. Hope this video helps. Any insight on that, definitely put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel with Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.